In today's video, I'm going to give you the secret behind making anything from locations to people to items feel way more deep and interesting. Hey everyone, and welcome to Dungeon Bits. And one thing that you start to worry about, if you actually care about the games that you run, is whether your game is interesting, beyond being one-dimensional and predictable. So today, you're going to learn the Dungeon Bits method, which is simple, but very effective. And that method is what and but. What is it? And what is interesting about it? But what should you watch out for? It's so simple. You see all these guides about making this and that in long, daunting videos. Well, I want to empower you to make your games more interesting and fun, and it will impress your players without the complexity or the hours of prep. But I will add, there is a final step, but since it ties everything together, watch till the end. But for now, here are some fun examples. Let's say that you watch an actual play series and you see all their cool NPCs, or you see a list of videos telling you how to make pro tier NPCs, and you think, how can I be like them? Well, you're probably putting them on a high pedestal. What race, kin, ancestry, or heritage are they? Are they human? Are you running a sci-fi or a fantasy game? Are they an alien or a fantasy person? And what is interesting about them, either internally or externally? What is noticeable when you first meet them? Do they have an evidently driven personality? Are they friendly? Are they standoffish? Or is there a quite memorable visual feature, such as a scar which hints at their tough guy personality? Or do they wear incredibly dashing clothing to match their lovable charm? But what should you watch out for? Are they aloof? Are they overly friendly? Are they quick to anger? Are they secretly working with the bad guys that you're asking around town about? Are they a Karen? What and but. You can use this to prep NPCs or to improvise them on the spot. Also, notice how at no point did you need to detail their favourite colour or their hometown or their opinions on pineapple on pizza, and that's because you can make a character with more and more depth forever and ever by just adding more details, but they're details that a reader or a player will never encounter, so they're useless details. Your aim is to make enough depth and enough detail in the things that you make, because too little is one-dimensional, which has its perks, don't get me wrong, but too much is overwhelming for those that witness it, and it's just too much unneeded work for you. Let's continue these examples with a shop. Your players will probably go here many times, but do you want them to just walk in and it's a grey box with some items to buy, or do you want to make it more memorable? If so, ask the question, what is it? A potion store and open to the air gear vendor, an art guild hall with a gift shop, a musical instrument shop, and what's interesting about it? There's a discount bag of unlabeled potions that the players can try for cheap, at the risk of not knowing what they're drinking. Or maybe in the music shop there is a cabinet that's shut with bars and chains, and behind it, a golden fiddle that the owner says that they won in a duel. But watch out for the mischievous store familiar, or the shelves that are specifically built to fall apart at the slightest touch, to charge shoppers into paying for the damages. We've covered an NPC and a shop, like a shop and a shopkeeper, but what about the items in the shop, or perhaps just items that the players find? Well, what is it? A sword, a magic item, a bag, a crowbar, a blaster? And what is interesting about it? Is it magical? How? Does it have an extra unintended enchantment? Is it too expertly made, given the place that you find it in? But maybe it's cursed. Perhaps it's broken in some very subtle way, or maybe it's covered in blood. Why? You tell me. You see how easy and fun it is to do this? And it should be fun. It shouldn't be spending hours of your life when you could spend a little time for the same great result. But to finish off, here are 2 final tips, and don't worry, they're super small but very important. First of all, names. What do you call this thing in question? Well, you could start with a name and then make details to match, or, here's my tip, make the name last and take the details that you made into consideration. Is this place a bar where a bunch of lumbering beings came to rest during the day and ended up becoming friends with the barman and the patrons? Well, now its name is The Troll's Rest. And final tip, why does this thing exist? And I don't mean from like a lore standpoint, I mean from a game standpoint. For example, if your players ask a guard on the street how to get to the library, chances are you don't need to give this guy any depth at all, because this guy is just an NPC whose purpose is just to answer a question. Consider the purpose of the thing in question. If its purpose is to flesh out the world and give your players something interesting to interact with, then give it depth and interest, but if not, then maybe just give it a name and a description and spend your time on something much cooler. But if the players investigate further and naturally fall in love with this random thing like an NPC guard, then consider this method and add details as needed. Just don't waste your time, just think what and always consider but. Thank you for watching. I'm Ellis, and if you like these tips, click the video on screen to see how to easily prep for any system to combine the tips that you learned in this video. I love you all, and I'll see you next Saturday.